stride, and he's moving powerfully in between horses as they move toward the top of the stretch in this 9th Breeders' Cup Classic defensive play. Thunder Rumble still there. A.P. Indy's in an all-out drive, and Pleasant Tap is coming with giant strides on the inside. They're coming to the finish. It is A.P. Indy in front. Pleasant Tap, one last run at him. A.P. Indy wins the Breeders' Cup Classic by 3 conclusive lengths.
All right, welcome back to Racing Rundown on today, Friday the 21st, recording very late at night on Friday, so this is probably going to be out on the 22nd, but still, regardless, we're back on what is today a very sad day for everyone involved in the horse racing industry. Just to preface this by starting off, if you have not heard already, I don't know why you wouldn't have, but in the event that you have not heard, breed shaping sire, Belmont Stakes winner, Breeders' Cup Classic winner, 1992 Horse of the Year, A.P. Indy, passed away this afternoon, sometime around that, due to infirmities of old age. And, you know, this is one thing, that a video that I never really expected to be making at this particular point. You know, A.P. Indy, he's 31. I want to start off by saying that, you know, it's not like this is a surprise to anyone, but it's just the fact that it happened so soon. A.P. Indy was one of those type of horses that he'd been around for so long, and you just always thought that, you know, oh, he'll still be around. Like, A.P. Indy's so good. He's so hardy. He'll still be around for years and years. And, you know, just to think that it happened at this point, you know, it's just a sad day. You know, he lived a good long life and everything like that, but, you know, just from the perspective of a person, from the fan's perspective, it's just a sad day. So, I'm not going to say it's a sad day anymore, because I don't need to hammer that nail on the head, but, what I wanted to do with this is, you know, just take a look back at A.P. and remember A.P. Indy. Because, you know, when history's already written the book on A.P. Indy, but when you open that book on A.P. Indy, you're going to see two sides of A.P. Indy. You're going to see one side, the racehorse, and A.P. Indy was a damn good racehorse. And you're going to see the other side, which is the breed-shaping sire that A.P. Indy was. And, you know, I'm going to put this out there. He's got kind of a Northern Dancer quality to him. You know, Northern Dancer was another one that was a damn good racehorse, but Northern Dancer is remembered far more for his impact on the breeding shed than anything that Northern Dancer did on the racetrack. And, you know, that's unfortunate, because Northern Dancer was a really good racehorse in his own right. Kentucky Derby winner, Horse of the Year, 1964. So, you know, kind of same thing with A.P. Indy. So, you know, but and I don't want to actually convey that point, because not that no one respects Northern Dancer or anything like that. And same thing with A.P. Indy. You know, both horses, you know, they have their racing careers, and, you know, they had their remarkable stud career. It's just that that's probably what's going to be mentioned first when you open the book on A.P. Indy. And Northern Dancer as well. So, getting into, you know, I just wanted to talk a little bit about A.P. Indy. You know, the fact that A.P. Indy became what he became on the racetrack is not surprising. Pedigree says it all. Son of Seattle Slew, son of Weekend Surprise, his mother, who was by Secretariat. You know, really no surprises there for anyone that A.P. Indy ended up being the horse that he became. At least on the racetrack. I'll put that out there, because, you know, there were the complications that A.P. Indy had right after birth. You know, he was a ridgeling, he had his issues, and they were able to correct that, and, you know, they did surgery and everything, and, you know, he became a $2.9 million yearling. You know, Mr. Soramaki paid a bunch of money for A.P. Indy, and, you know, it paid out. You know, it paid off. And, you know, something that you have to think of when you think of A.P. Indy is that there would not have been an A.P. Indy, at least to the degree that he was without Neil Drysdale. That's one of the all-time training jobs, I think, by anyone. What Neil Drysdale did with that horse, you know, I'll get to it in a minute, but, you know, all the issues that he had in his career, obviously everyone knows he was the morning line favorite for the Kentucky Derby in 1992, and he had to scratch out of it the morning of the race. And very few people in the racing industry believed that A.P. Indy would not have won the Triple Crown. And, you know, that's not a term that I like to throw around lightly as say, oh, this horse would have been a Triple Crown winner. This horse would have been a Triple Crown winner. This horse would have been a Triple Crown winner if this happened, if that happened, if whatever else happened. But A.P. Indy, I'm sure 95% of people in the United States racing industry would agree with me on this, is one of the real unfortunate situations that, He had to be scratched prior to the Kentucky Derby. He had that bruised foot. Fortunately, I should say, Neil Drysdale was able to get him back in time, and he was able to accomplish the Peter Pan Belmont Stakes double, winning the Peter Pan Stakes handily, not really tested that much in the Peter Pan, and then he went on to the Belmont Stakes, and he ran one of the, credit to Eddie Delahoussaye in that Belmont Stakes, but A.P. Indy ran one of the greatest Belmont Stakes run by a winner of that race, coming out wide and in that stretch and having to run by a horse, Pine Bluff, who had the lead mid-stretch and looked at points like he was going to be a winner, but that was just the class and the talent of A.P. Indy. He used every bit of that 1.5-mile stretch at Belmont Park to win that day. And then to go on, he had the 3 months off. He lost the race up at Woodbine, and then he had the absolute disaster at the Jockey Club Gold Cup, lost his shoe. Neil Drysdale basically had to put his foot back together in order to get him to be able to run in the Belmont Stakes that year, in the Breeders' Cup Classic that year. But, and that's why I mentioned credit to Neil Drysdale on that, because that A.P. Indy would not have been Horse of the Year that year if it wasn't for Neil Drysdale. Not going to say he wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer, but definitely Neil Drysdale deserves immense amount of credit for what he did with A.P. Indy and what he was able to do with him. Get him to even be able to win the Belmont Stakes and the Breeders' Cup Classic. And, because it would have been very easy for A.P. Indy to just have his career have ended with the Santa Anita Derby or with that win in the Belmont Stakes. But fortunately, I should say, that is ultimately not what ended up being the case. And he was a Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Horse of the Year. That you look at A.P. Indy's resume, not the most impressive, but in a short campaign that he had, only ran 2 years, 8 wins, including Grade 1s in the Hollywood Futurity, the Santa Anita Derby, the Belmont Stakes, and the Breeders' Cup Classic. And as I mentioned, a Hall of Famer, 2000 inducted that year. So, that's A.P. Indy, the racehorse. And I think, whether or not your memory of A.P. Indy is the Belmont Stakes or the Breeders' Cup Classic, for me it would be, for someone who did not grow up with A.P. Indy and is looking back on it as something that happened, 10 years before I was even around and everything, I look at that Belmont Stakes, and that's when I think of A.P. Indy, that's what I think of. But I know there's plenty of people who think of A.P. Indy and the Breeders' Cup Classic, and either way, both of them were great. So, that's A.P. Indy, the racehorse. And, if A.P. Indy was only that, and that was the only aspect of his life, he still would be a remarkable racehorse, all the adversity that he had to go through. But going on to what he was then able to do in the breeding shed, that is really where A.P. Indy is leaving, I should say, all of his stuff on the table. All time great. I would put him up there with Northern Dancer as one of, if not the greatest and most influential sires in the history of, in the history of the breed, basically. Thoroughbred breed, whatever you have. You go through the list of accomplishments for his line and see directly all the horses that he produced, and then indirectly, or not indirectly, but through his line, what his sons and his grandsons and his daughters even, what they have produced. It's just remarkable to think that, a horse that was a Ridgeling, and there were questions about whether or not he was even fertile, was able to go on and do that. And, Eric wanted me to mention, just how much of a breed-shaping sire he was. You think about this is A.P. Indy's sire line, Pulpit, which leads to Tappet, and, Tappet, which leads to all the great horses that Tappet has sired, just to name a few: Tonalist, Creator, Tappert, Belmont Stakes winners, Frosted, Met Mile winner, Untappable, Kentucky Oaks Breeders' Cup Distaff champion. Lucky Pulpit also from Pulpit's line produced California Chrome, Derby, Preakness, and Dubai World Cup winner. Bernardini, winner of the 2006 Preakness, and from Bernardini we get horses like Stay Thirsty, Grade 1 winner, Travers Stakes winner, Rachel's Valentine, also Grade 1 winner, To Honor and Serve, Grade 1 winner, all these great horses, even Math Wizard this year is a fourth generation AP Indy Algorithms, is a son of Bernardini. Malibu Moon, who produced Orb, the 2013 Kentucky Derby winner. And Mineshaft, one that I was going to get to in a moment, is, this is the legacy of how strong that sire line was with A.P. Indy, going all the way back up to Seattle Slew. A.P. Indy, the A.P. Indy family is one of only 2 families to have 3-generation winners of Horse of the Year, that those respectively all being Seattle Slew 1977, A.P. Indy 1992, and Mineshaft in 2003. So one of only 2 families with 3 generations of Horse of the Year, in that the other being the Secretariat lineage. So obviously very good company there, and lesser horses that have not had more of an opportunity to make their impact on the breeding shed, or just didn't produce as much, but still were good sires and produced some good offspring. I think of West Coast, the Travers winner from a few years ago. He's a son of Flatter, who's a grandson of A.P. Indy. Majestic Warrior produced the Kentucky Oaks winner, Princess of Silmar. Congrats has been around the past couple of years, and he's produced some good horses. Polar River, one of the fillies from Dubai, who's really good, is one that I can think of. And then Steven Got Even, who produced Stevie Wonderboy Breeders' Cup winner, First Dude, who won the Hollywood Gold Cup, and First Dude would go on to produce Breeders' Cup winner Shamrock Rose. So you can just go through... I'm not going to go through every single horse that A.P. Indy's ever produced, although it did go through a bunch of them. I would highly recommend, and just one more thing that I want to mention, we're talking about Constitution a lot on this Kentucky Derby trail. That's something that, number one, Eric's really high on Constitution. He loves him, and, there's a lot of Constitution horses that are coming around, and there's some that are going to be really good going forward. So, we talk about all these horses, and it circles all the way back to A.P. Indy and just how remarkable of a horse he was. So, if you want to go through and see the full list of all the horses, whether they're on-track performers, winners of races, or who has come through his sire line, through his sons, be it Pulpit, be it Bernardini, be it Malibu Moon, be it Mineshaft, or be it through his sons Tappet, Lucky Pulpit, Orb, dialed in. Now, Orb is not quite there yet with terms of his breeding, but that's to be expected since he's only been around for a couple of years. So, once again, I encourage you to go back and take a look at this if you're interested in seeing just how remarkable of a horse A.P. Indy was. And like I said at the top of the show, not surprised that this happened, but that doesn't make it any less sad that A.P. Indy is now no longer with us, and just a truly great horse, not just a racehorse, but just a truly great breed shaping foundational sire, as the words have come down about him. I did also forget to mention, now that I'm thinking about this, I did forget to mention one of his other daughters, Rags to Riches, Belmont Stakes winner. So if I did forget that, I want to throw that in there. So once again, just a sad day for United States racing, but this is a chance where we can look back at A.P. Indy and realize that this is the horse that we had, and he was awesome. Awesome on the track, awesome in the breeding shed. Unfortunately, I never got to get to see him, but I'm sure plenty of people that will tell you that he was awesome. Just to be able to see in person and in general. So, like I said, a sad day, but we look back fondly on A.P. Indy. He has given us so much, be it his on-track exploits or be it the sons, the grandsons, and the offspring that he has given us, and his lineage will continue to be produced. And, it will be a long time before the United States racing industry and horse racing in general will forget A.P. Indy. It's going to be impossible for us to do that because we got all these great horses from the A.P. Indy sire line. But, just once again, I want to stress, great horse, sad day, but we're happy we had him for 30, almost 31 calendar years, but not officially 31 yet. So, once again, condolences go to Lane's End, and just a sad day, but A.P. Indy, all in all, was a great horse. So, thank you for tuning in. Might have been a little bit of rambling toward the end there, but, it is what it is. So, once again, we remember A.P. Indy fondly as a great horse and a great sire. His legacy will live on. And I did also forget one more thing. I do also want to mention that in addition to not only winning the Belmont Stakes, A.P. Indy's time is up there as one of the fastest times in the Belmont, second fastest by terms of minutes, but I believe if we count the points of a second, I believe it is the fourth or the fifth fastest Belmont Stakes run ever. So, 226 over a mile and a half. No one's ever going to do 224 over dirt again, but 226 over a mile and a half, not easy to do. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and just the legacy will live on for AP Indy, and that's about all that I have for this video. So once again, thank you. Hopefully we'll see you back here next time with some lighter, happier notes.
They're in